It took over the entire world in not even a full month. The cities bustling with life and promising technology all collapsed. The world we once knew is gone, and it will never be the same. All of this thanks to the Knox Infection, one of the deadliest and outright horrific diseases experienced by man. Not much is known about this disease, since the whole collapse did really stagnate the process of any research. However, with all the notes to our disposal, we can put all of the pieces together in this puzzle. There are many takes on the origin of this infection, but nothing conclusive. Let's take a look at some of the theories. The US military could have had something to do with this. The main points being that the military was responsible for several incidents involving public exposure to hazardous materials, including a waste spill on July 4th. The military's immediate response to the outbreak and the strictly enforced exclusion zones suggest prior knowledge of the virus and its severity. Much of the information released to the public regarding the Knox event was relayed by General John McGrew, rather than the president, further suggesting the military taking the lead on the response to the infection. The secluded military research facility near Rosewood, which has facilities for human experimentation and dissection, may have served as the testing grounds for the Knox virus. Some people reported a mysterious foul smell weeks before the blockade was established.
You can smell it in the air. Something smelled bad for weeks. It gets into your lungs. That's what's behind it.
Christian, caller on Knox Talk. Many people also believe that something in the Spiffos meat was the cause of the outbreak.
I've been warning people for years. It's in the meat. We've been feeding our cows of their own kind. Misfolded prions. Brain matter fed back into the food chain. These prions have been building up in countless generations of cattle. This is quite clearly a neurological disorder.
Professor Peter Ensley. Religious people thought this could be them paying for all of the sins that have been committed. Some even said that this could have been an act of terrorism, because it couldn't have been a coincidence that the whole event basically started after America's Independence Day. Many strange dog attacks were also reported before and after the outbreak, hinting towards the fact that maybe canines were responsible for contracting some sort of disease. And lastly, some even blamed the extraterrestrial for causing the collapse of society, mainly because people reported lightning storms with no rain and unusually bright meteor showers over Louisville. My take on this? There's just too much evidence suggesting that the military played a hand at this and didn't realize how dangerous the virus was until it was too late. The infection is agonizing in nature. Once infected, the host experiences influenza-like symptoms. In the first few hours, a rapid increase in the body's temperature. Later on, queasiness, followed by nauseousness, sickness, and finally, an unbearable fever. All of this leads to the host's death and reanimation after an hour or maybe even a couple of minutes. A noteworthy mention is that during an interview on LBMW, Jackie J spoke to a woman north of the exclusion zone. The woman said that when driving on a road, she was stopped by military personnel and had her blood work done, and after a few minutes was let go, meaning that it's probably possible to spot the infection in the blood with the necessary equipment, before showing any severe symptoms. When the Knox event just started, the only way to contract the disease was to come in direct contact of the infected. That is, the transmission was only by blood or saliva. However, a week after the event began, the infection horribly mutated and became airborne, which led to way more casualties down the line. Surprisingly, a handful of people were immune to the airborne strain of the virus and managed to hold out a little longer. Nothing is known what caused this immunity, but the sheer number of dead that weren't so lucky were already roaming the streets and didn't make it any better. For the remaining survivors, being scratched or lacerated could have a chance of infection. However, a bite from an infected made you turn no matter what. A quick reminder to like the video if you're liking it and subscribe if you're liking it even more to not miss a future upload. Now it's time to talk about the timeline of events. Everything that happened, everything that was caused by this infection. Weeks prior, foul smell in the air first noticed. July 1st, Knox Telecommunications takes phone lines down for maintenance. July 3rd, a military truck carrying an unknown hazardous substance crashes just north of March Ridge. July 4th, Americans celebrate Independence Day. Spate of dog attacks on farm animals and residents in recent days. Unusual illness affecting residents in Muldrow reported. July 6th, Kentucky Herald declares illness outbreak in Muldrow, reporting that dozens of flu-like illness have been reported. Chemical leaks from local military installations into the local water or food supply suspected and being tested for. Calls for assistance from outside authorities met with obfuscation and denials. US military blocks roads in area of Kentucky nicknamed Knox Country. No reason is given. Areas within blockade include Muldrow, West Point, Brandenburg, and Fort Knox itself.
This is Jackie J reporting for LBMW, here at the military blockade to the north of the exclusion zone. It's a scene of drama, anger, and confusion here. We've got folks turning up trying to get through, and standing in their way are guys in camo. US Army recruits who 4 days ago were waiting to ship out overseas from local military bases, but who are now checkpoint guards around their former home. And still no word on the condition of those inside the zone. We know there's something like an influenza virus in there, but it's localized. There's just a handful of reports of strange behaviors, panic, confusion. I've been told that military scientists are present within the zone. We should hear concrete details tomorrow. If anything else comes out of the exclusion zone, you'll be the first to know. Keep safe, Kentucky.
Military personnel erect fences and checkpoints within the Knox exclusion zone. Entrance and exit are forbidden. Reports of residents being turned away at gunpoint. Personnel in hazmat gear are seen within the exclusion zone. Air activity increases. Military clears traffic and members of the public from perimeter of exclusion zone. Some residents sleep in their cars. Others walk north along highway to Louisville. Lightning storms over Louisville. No rain reported. July 7th. Phone line outage continues within exclusion zone. Communication with zone remains impossible. Knox Telecommunications provides no comment. Fort Knox and Fort Campbell cancel leave for military personnel. Kentucky Governor Cal Fairweather claims he is in the dark like everyone else regarding rumors of illness outbreak inside the exclusion zone. White House press secretary denies president's early return from G7 summit in Tokyo related to Knox situation. Unusually bright meteor shower spotted over Kentucky. July 8th. Phone line outage continues within exclusion zone. Communication with zone remains impossible. Knox Telecommunications provides no comment. Reports of mild sickness spreading among some who have been left inside the exclusion zone. White House representatives claim military maneuvers part of long-held and long-term strategy to deal with security events and localized contamination. President heavily criticized by Republicans in Congress for a lack of statement on the Knox event. More military personnel arrived from Fort Campbell. No-fly zone established over Knox. July 9th. Rumors of continued escalation of the infection. The exact details remain unknown to the public. Civilian channels spread fear and concern. General John McGrew, commander of Knox Zone personnel, appeals for calm, confirms sickness within zone leads to panic and confusion, but claims no evidence of fatalities.
As of today, I'm breaking with the schedule. You'll notice you haven't heard Tim the past few days. No recipes, no weather, no Tim. He's inside the exclusion zone. He doesn't even know we had to put the dog to sleep. If you know anything at all, find a way to talk to us. The phones are cut off. The roads have checkpoints. This is too big. Way too big for us to just believe what they say.
Gunshots heard within the exclusion zone close to the border perimeter. President issues statement. States faith in military, General McGrew, and Center for Disease Control to control Knox virus. Former CDC official Dr. Jeff Galbraith claims chronic CDC underfunding and bureaucratic infighting will hamper response to Knox outbreak. Professor Jake Wilson, working with the military, claims transmission of the illness has slowed. The CDC criticizes Dr. Jeff Galbraith for claims, say Galbraith trying to score points due to his dismissal following Raleigh outbreak. The CDC retracts their previous statement, which they say was released without authorization. We all respect Dr. Galbraith's candor, along with his many major achievements during his years at the CDC. UK Prime Minister criticizes US President for a near-complete lack of clarity about the Knox event. Unrest in Washington as protesters demand answers about Knox event. Proposed march on White House cancelled as police make arrests. July 11th. Anger brews throughout US about lack of information on the Knox event. Riots in Washington, D.C., New York, Los Angeles. President gives statement denouncing riots, claims he will provide full information about Knox event when he has it. Waves of panic buying throughout the US. Shortages of many major goods, including toilet paper. European community advises member states to close internal and external borders. World Health Organization advises all non-military or medical flights worldwide to be grounded from 6 p.m. The move is criticized by airlines, but all say they will comply with the advice. Stock markets plunge worldwide following WHO advice. President issues statement calling WHO's advice economically unsound, and that Knox event is contained. Knox exclusion zone boundary widened. More residents forcibly displaced as peacekeeping forces are deployed throughout the US. a quarantine camp within the exclusion zone is abandoned with its holding cells left unlocked. July 12th. Riots in American cities. At least one killed in New York, many injured in Miami. Military personnel are called in to help police. Civilian radio transmission comes from within zone. Alleges situation much more serious than military claims. Accusations of sniper fire on civilians are made. President announces curfew in major cities from 6 p.m. this evening. Major earthquake strikes off the coast of Hokkaido, Japan. U.S. military set up temporary installations in New York, Los Angeles, Miami, and other cities. Curfew comes into effect in major cities across U.S. New wave of panic unleashed by photo from West Point in Knox event zone. Photo shows young man, dismembered but still living, in street full of dead bodies. Interference from an unknown source impacts radio and television broadcasts.
This is NNR. Shocking pictures have emerged from the exclusion zone. Earlier today, the president discussed a receding likelihood of recovery for those affected by the Knox event. Photography leaked from the exclusion zone, however, paints a more extreme picture. Some listeners will find the following description shocking. The photo is of a crowded street, but in focus is a man. His age, 30. His clothing, bloodstained. One arm is raised as if in greeting. The other is missing. He's bloody, covered in what would appear to be bite marks, or perhaps wounds inflicted by a bladed weapon. He's still standing. He's still apparently unharmed. We have established the validity of this photograph. We would also remind listeners that throughout it all, the message has been, the Knox event is contained. The public has been shielded, rightly or wrongly, from a truth. But the Knox event is contained.
July 13th. Media interviews with numerous survivors released from military captivity within zone paint grim picture of hundreds of infected, hunting the living, spreading the infection through bites and other acts of extreme violence. 38 nations issue joint statement through United Nations denouncing complete lack of clarity from American authorities over details of the Knox event. Vatican City Swiss Guard orders all visitors to the city to evacuate and the city to be closed, against the wishes of the Pope. Curfew announced for Chicago, San Diego, Baltimore. Saudi Arabia announces Mecca, Islam's holiest city, will be evacuated and secured. General McGrew gives speech, states there is no need for further panic, sufferers are not deceased, and search for cure is ongoing. July 14th. President leaves White House, passing through angry crowds. A protest by residents inside exclusion zone results in shooting of 2 unarmed individuals.
This is Jackie J on LBMW. There's violence in the border camp. We have unverified reports of injured civilians, potentially deceased civilians. This morning we woke up to loud gunfire and now armed military personnel are pushing back the crowds. Frank, can you hear me? I can hear you, Jackie. I can confirm 2 people are dead. Move back, people. You are safe. The infection is contained. Jackie, we're being moved back. Can you hear me? Ma'am, stand down. Ma'am, move back. There is no need for panic. The Knox event is contained. It has always been contained.
Violence between military personnel and trapped Knox residents. Numerous fatalities, mostly civilian. White House releases pre-recorded statement by the president asking for calm, saying deliberate action will soon be taken in the Knox zone. Despite heavy live fire, large numbers of infected, attracted by noise of battle, reach exclusion zone's border fence. Minor breaches occur in fence. The sounds of battle continue to attract infected to the border fence. Larger breaches occur in the fence. Some military units begin pulling back. Panic ripples through border camp. Ongoing sounds of battle attracts thousands of infected from a large area of the exclusion zone. Military has limited success in corralling and splintering hordes. Panic in Louisville suburbs.
This is Jackie J. I've been separated from my colleague, Frank Hemingway. There's gunfire on the other side of the camp. Frank, can you hear me? We're live on air. Jackie, there's been an incursion. There's hundreds of them. They're everywhere. They came from every side. Frank, what are they? What do they look like? Get off me! Get off! Jesus Christ.
July 15th. Intense overnight battles near Knox boundary camp fail to stop tide of infected. Military begins pulling back north. Some localized successes by bands of armed citizens, aided by soldiers defying evacuation order, in fighting small groups of the infected. First reports of people falling sick with what is assumed to be the Knox virus without being bitten.
This is NNR. As we've been reporting this morning, the Knox infection is spreading in Kentucky. How it is contracted remains unknown. The illness that precedes Knox symptoms can enter the human body without fluid contact. Huge numbers of people, men, women, and children are falling in all over Louisville. No one knows why or how. People are starting to change. Avoid them if you can. Again, the statement by the President's office reads, "Stay in your homes, avoid public places, emergency teams are en route. Mass movement on major roads will delay help being sent. The curfew will remain in place. God bless America."
Numerous camp survivors shot or beaten to death by angry mobs for showing signs of sickness. A growing number of reports of Knox virus symptoms among military personnel and survivors from Boundary Camp who avoided being bitten. First carriers of aerial strain of Knox infection die and turn. Many are already inside Louisville or over the Ohio Bridge. At least 95% of camp survivors and zone military personnel ill. Hasty quarantines. Summary executions. July 16th. U.S. Congress evacuates to Mount Weather. White House issues advice not to panic. For population to stay in their homes. The location of the president is unknown. Majority of Louisville's population now ill with the Knox sickness. Thousands turning every hour. Hospitals overrun. Bridges over the Ohio River are demolished by the military. Hundreds of civilians are killed. The British Queen elects to stay behind in Windsor Castle as royal family evacuates to unknown location.
Jackie J. LBMW. I'm still here. Need you to know something. National networks are reporting that it spread. They're saying Somalia and Africa. They're saying Norfolk, England. I know it isn't possible, but it's true. Go listen to them now. Go listen to someone else. This place is a goddamn wasteland. Keep safe. Keep safe, Kentucky.
July 17th.
Have you seen them? No, Richard. No, I have not. There's nothing in their eyes. I thought they'd look like a dead body. I've seen plenty. I was in Desert Storm. Dead bodies look like they're at peace. They look separate, but the same. These things, they're empty. Nothing's moved on. There's no spirit gone up to the sky. I thought death was just an absence of life. Now I see it's worse than that. Just a big nothing. A road to nowhere. Something that hates us and wants us consumed. Like a hole has opened up underneath our feet, and I'll be gone soon. I'm just sorry it all ended this way. Sorry for us all.
Knox illness confirmed in Cincinnati and Columbus, Ohio. Norfolk, Newcastle, and London, England. Mogadishu, Somalia. Seoul, South Korea. Okinawa, Japan. Recorded broadcasts from General McGrew broadcast nationally to the few immune to the second wave of the Knox illness. Says these are dark days, but we will prevail. The broadcast repeats on subsequent days.
Good morning. This is NNR. Earlier today we received the following recording. The voice, that of General John McGrew. This is addressed to those unaffected by the second wave of the Knox infection. You might know who you are by now. If you don't, you will in coming days. The disease will not spread to you as it has to others, but through fluid contact, by which I mean bites. It surely will. The time has come to bear arms against this threat. They may be your family. They may be your friends. Do not hesitate to pull the trigger. These are dark days, but as a nation we can and will prevail. You have not been forgotten. We will come for you. General John McGrew out.
July 18th. Knox illness confirmed in New Orleans, New York, Los Angeles, Berlin, Tokyo. Belgian troops take position in their country's array of liege forts for the first time since the Second World War. Most American radio and television programs cease or are replaced with an emergency broadcast.
This wavelength has been chosen for emergency broadcast. The spread of the Knox infection is now total. Stay in small groups. Do not travel. Assume all major urban areas have been compromised. We are doing all we can to reclaim American soil. We will come for you. This broadcast will be set to repeat. All further updates will be broadcast on this frequency. Good luck.
July 19th. National Guard units in New York attempt to secure the prison complex on Rikers Island. The Australian Prime Minister looks visibly ill. North Korea destroys bridges and blocks roads linking it with China. The Knox infection is spotted in Gezira, Rhoda Island, Korsa, and other regions within Cairo, Egypt. The Russian government leaves Moscow for Mount Yamantau. July 20th. The Knox infection is spreading uncontrollably across the planet. The Seikon Tunnel is destroyed by the Japanese military, leaving thousands trapped on both Hokkaido Island and the mainland. South Korea destroys Hangong Bridge. July 21st. Battles against infected hordes occur around the world. Core members of the Thai government attempt evacuation via helicopter to Bubing Palace. Their fate is unknown. Intense fighting with the infected occurs within the vicinity of the Castle of the Moors, near Lisbon, Portugal. July 22nd, the Wilanów Palace in Warsaw, Poland catches fire. Knox sickness now found in every nation on Earth. July 23rd, the Dutch government resorts to mass flooding Amsterdam in an attempt to slow the infection. Millions of refugees accelerate the Knox infection spread. July 24th, the majority of Earth's population are now sick with the Knox infection. July 25th, cries of horror flood the world's airwaves as they begin to go silent. July 26th, the Forbidden City in China is confirmed to be overrun with the infected. Contact is lost with the Central Military Commission. July 27th, billions are dead from the Knox infection across the globe. July 28th, almost everyone falls to the Knox infection. Only small groups of immune survivors remain. The Knox infection took over everything on a global scale. All hope is lost. We know what and when happened, yet there's still a question of how and why. What this infection is a complete mystery. There's nothing else left to do but try to fight for a better tomorrow. See you in the next one.